Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show this Sunday. Thank you for tuning in. Today is May 25th, a Sunday. Thank you for tuning in. Well, let's get started. I want to talk about this is Moore's Law, these charts we see here. And it's been consistently going up, up, up. The computers have been doubling their strength over and over and over again. But suddenly something's happened. They're finally figuring out how to make light speed computers. These computers are called photonics, and they are a type of quantum computer. But not only that, they've had a major breakthrough in the uh, standard type of quantum computing. They're moving into something called topological quantum computing, and they've got a new chip. Let's take a look in here. At these centers that put these computers together. Let me see if I get the right page here. I wanted to show you a picture of the new Marjana. I think it's called Marjana or Marjana 2. It's a new chip that they've got. It's a topological quantum chip. This new chip. So the quantum, that's in the quantum chips, and the quantum chips are also these new light chips in the photonics. What can they do? Well, right now they're being invented and they're being tested in laboratory settings. But they're getting very close, I can see, to having a chip that is able to be mass produced, especially with the topological chips. And in fact, they might go into mass production soon, I imagine. Uh, what can these chips do? Can they break encryption? Because this is a big thing. Now, in the world, they have different types of encryption that they use. One of the encryption methods is for the financial system in general. RSA is a type of encryption, and there's two different types. There's ECC encryption, which is a little bit weaker than the RSA encryption that's used in the financial system. It says they both scale. Both of these types of financial encryption within the financial system itself, they both scale very badly against the quantum computers. In other words, people have been talking for a long time. They've been saying, well, what about Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies? Yes, they're vulnerable too. These are machines. I'm going to just kind of give you an idea. I think they said it was an immense amount of time, like billions of years it would take for these computers we have now, these the older computers that we have now. Take billions of years for them to solve a problem. And they give the same problem to these quantum computers, and they can solve it in just a matter of, you couldn't even drink a cup of coffee quicker than they can solve it. And so, how far away is this quantum threat? Well, it's been a long ways off. And this is why people haven't really worried about their Bitcoin encryption, their private keys. They haven't worried about the RSA encryption or the ECC encryption within the financial system in general, because we've always seen these things as being a long ways off. Because the quantum computers we had, up until very, very recently, they could only have a very limited number of what's called qubits. And these are the pieces inside the computer that really do the thinking. The more qubits you have, the more power the quantum computer has. And so they were very limited in the amount of qubits they could have, and they had to have this enormous cooling chamber to get the thing down to like almost absolute zero, just to a temperature that would freeze super cold. They had to get it super cold. But all this is changing overnight. They've made these new breakthroughs just in the past, especially the light in these new light quantum computers that operate on light, the photonics. this is the biggest, the most amazing breakthrough is coming in the photonics. And you know, they're talking about numbers right now that they're like, first they were saying the photonics is like 10 times more powerful than the strongest GPUs out there. Now they're saying it could be 1,000 times the potentiality of power, and even up to 1,000,000 times more powerful than what we're using now. And they're talking about mass production. So right now, all these chips are in testing phase and stuff, right? They're in laboratories and they're testing them and they're giving them, and they're just being fabriclasted by the speed and what these computers can actually do in the laboratory setting. And they're so excited they don't even know how to talk. They're so excited about it, the computer scientists, because this is such a quantum leap. This is going to push Moore's law so far ahead. Suddenly, just boom, Moore's law is going to go through the roof. And then they'll probably go into mass production. So at what point do these chips start to make their way into to where you can use one? But you got to understand, when they make it to the point where you can use one, the criminal element's going to be able to get their hands on them too. You know, like in the movie Breaking Bad, you know, that criminal element out there that just loves to get a hold of new technology and stuff. They got a lot of money behind them, and they could be some of the first ones to get them before you get them because you can't afford them. They can chip off $50,000 off the block and afford to pay for something like that because they know that they're going to make a lot of money with it. So how can they make money with it? The criminal element, quantum chips. Well, they can break these encryptions, like the RSA encryption, the ECC encryption, and the private key encryption. Now suddenly your ears pop up, right? Here's a sample of a Bitcoin private key. It's a 64 character string of letters and numbers. Okay? So that's it right there. I'll highlight it so you can see it right here. This is a Bitcoin private key. Now, you know, some of these private keys out there contain billions and billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. There's big wallets out there. People who have like 1,000 Bitcoin or 5,000 Bitcoin or 10,000 Bitcoins. Okay? Well, you know, I mean, with these older computers, there ain't no way. You're not going to break a 64 long string of letters and numbers like that with the computers we've had. But I don't think this is out of the range of these quantum computers. And this is hard. 64 characters long is hard. But you know, how hard is these other encryption methods used in the general financial system at large? So the whole thing, all of the digital transaction system in the entire world is going to be vulnerable to quantum computing. And suddenly, we've got this enormous leap in quantum computing, enormous breakthroughs being made, suddenly, out of nowhere. And this has all happened so fast, I don't think anybody has stopped to even think, because we all thought this was a long ways ahead. 20 years from now, 30 years from now, we'd be facing this threat. But now with this sudden breakthrough in two types of quantum computing, topological quantum computing, enormous breakthrough, a new chip, Mariana chip, and the other one, the breakthrough simultaneously, a breakthrough in light speed computing with photonics and quantum computing. Two enormous breakthroughs simultaneously. Suddenly brings this forward. What was 20 years in the future now might be, I don't know, how long does it take them to get these chips into production? That's how long it might be in the future. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I think they're going to break these codes once they get a hold of these chips. That's my opinion on it. And I wouldn't touch Bitcoin. In fact, I'm just wondering, what are they going to do if the criminal element out there starts to decipher everything within the financial system, including all the cryptocurrencies and digital transactions? What are we going to do? this could be an enormous problem coming up, you know? So, recent advances in quantum computing include breakthroughs in qubit development, error mitigation, and the exploration of new quantum states of matter. These advancements are pushing the field toward practical applications in areas like machine learning, drug discovery, and material science. They're not going to go backwards on this stuff. Even if it does cause a lot of problems within the system, what they'll try to do is fix the problems. And I'm thinking that one of the biggest possible problems out there that they might not even try to fix is cryptocurrency encryption. I'm thinking that this could be the end of cryptocurrencies once this technology makes its way into the mainstream through production lines. That's what they do is they get a new chip. The first thing you know, all of your computer chips will be going quantum. So what's that going to do to computing itself if we move into something that's 1,000 times stronger than what we're using now, as far as processing power is concerned? So everybody has these things, maybe 5 years from now. What's that going to do to computing itself? So this is exciting. This is very exciting. And I know a lot of people out there are going to be like, but listen, for you guys that are Bitcoin holders, you want to think about this a little bit. Because I know that Bitcoin holders are putting an awful lot of their money into the cryptocurrency as a savings. And they've only ever seen it go up since 2009 till now. It's never really, it's always been a slow progression upwards for all of the cryptocurrencies. But a breaking of these quantum codes, see, it says right here. However, quantum computing also poses an existential threat to the global financial system by breaking today's public key cryptographic algorithms, RSA and ECC, which underpin security movements of money and data transactions, leaving organizations, individuals, and economies vulnerable. My point is, we thought all of this was going to be way ahead in the future. We thought we had this 20-year gap or 15-year gap in the future before this gets here. And now it's looking to me like it's only maybe as long as it takes for them to get them into production on the assembly lines and them to make their way out into the general population, because from where they are right now. They already have this. It's done. They've built it. It's in the labs right now. They're testing them. Of course, they're not going to go out and steal with them. They're in the lab setting, But it's coming. And it's coming fast. And so this is a little bit of a warning to you Bitcoin people, the people out there who putting a lot into Bitcoin, more than you can afford to lose. I suddenly see this coming up really fast in the rearview mirror right now. Wanted to do a show on it for you guys. Okay? So thank you for listening to this show, and you guys have a great rest of the Sunday. Have a great rest of the weekend, and we'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye.